Welcome everyone. We're so glad you're here. We see people are still joining, so we'll get started in just a few minutes. Thank you for your patience. Feel free to get settled and say hi in the chat. We'll start in 1 minute. Thanks for joining. Well, I think we have a good number of participants join. So hi everyone and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We're excited to have you here for this session, and we have a great presenter lineup. Louise Pebbles has been teaching adult learners since 2012 with experience ranging from ESOL classrooms in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Tampa, to communication studies courses at Miami-Dade College, Maricopa Community College, and the University of Tampa. She holds a BS from the University of Florida and an MS from Lynn University. I just have a quick couple of notes before we begin. We will be providing you with certificate of attendance after this session, so expect them throughout the week. And we'll also be sharing 3 downloadable PDFs with supporting materials in that email. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat and we'll address them at the end. We have a special time allocated for a Q&A. And with that, I'll hand it over to Louise.
Hi, thank you, Daniela. Hi, everybody. Can you guys hear me okay? I think somebody said the chat is disabled, Daniela. Maybe we'll take a look at that.
Work on it.
Thank you. Okay. I hope everybody's doing okay and having a good afternoon. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and please let me know if you're still having problems with the chat, if it's still disabled. So go ahead and let us know. Thank you.
Try. Perfect. And we will be recording this meeting and sending a link for you to review it afterwards. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks so much, Daniela, and thank you all for being here this afternoon. Daniela did a great job introducing me, so I don't have to go through this, but this is a picture. Oops, I don't know if you guys can see it okay. Please let me know if there's any issues. Okay, good. Yeah, this is my latest class. This was my class last semester. I teach ESOL for Hillsborough County School District here in Tampa, Florida. So if you want to let me know where you guys teach, drop it in the chat. Oh, I see it. Yay, from Miami. Let me see here. Miami-Dade College. Yeah, I taught at Miami-Dade College probably about 10 years ago. I love it. Virginia, Texas, Nevada, Savannah. Hi, sorry, everybody. I love it. And it was wonderful teaching at Miami-Dade. It was a little while ago. But I'm in Tampa, Florida now, and I teach for the adult ed department. And within the department, we have a grant program specifically for refugees and asylum seekers. So those are my students now. We serve the resettling community here in Tampa, and I love, love, love my job. It's been 13 years since I began teaching ESOL to adults, and I couldn't be happier with my job. I worked in publishing back then, and it's been really great to reconnect with Daniela and work with Pearson and partner for a lot of the marketing projects that we've been working on for the last year. So it's a pleasure to be here with you guys. And then yes, any questions, we'll address them at the end. And also let me know what levels you guys teach. Right now, Ocala, yeah. Right now I teach the higher levels 4, 5, 6. So I would love to know where what levels. Yep, I see some level 6 is high beginning, level 4. Okay. Hi, Pampinelas. Yeah, so a little bit of everything, a lot of multi-level classes. Yep, it's like we've got to do what we got to do and make it work. It's not easy. So today, I love it. Level 3, perfect. So today I'm going to show you a little bit about what we're going to do ahead of time, so you have an idea of what our agenda will be like. we're going to start with just briefly talking about the changes in adult education and the big elephant in the room, the CASAS Steps, the new test, and what it means, what it is. You know, there's so much hearsay, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we'll go on to my agenda stop. There we go. We'll talk about some test prep tips in general, and then we'll cover Pearson's new program that I'd love to know if you guys are already using or not, adult ed test preparation. And then we'll talk about some other creative, non-test focused ways to learn, and which I know I always like to pick up tips here and there from any educator I talk to. There's always something new, something that we haven't been doing. And then we'll end with a Q&A and some time to chat. Okay, so let's get started. And I think, Daniela, you're taking care of the chat because I keep seeing it, but I'm going to focus and just talk to you guys. So the last time that the CASAS test was updated was back in 2014, the Life and Skills series. And so it's been a moment. And so there's been so many changes, right? In the workforce, even for entry-level jobs, they ask for experience and they ask for full digital literacy, right? Like the use of technology is something that has changed drastically from 10 years ago. And then in education, we've introduced the IET programs, right? The programs that integrated, I'm getting nervous and forgetting my acronyms. See, look, I have it right here. The programs that you learn, you get the ESOL classes, and you leave with a certificate, a professional certificate, so you can go into welding and IT and nursing. And then lastly, the new descriptors that the NRS came out with, right? The National Reporting System for Adult Education, they updated their descriptors. So we had to update the test to match them. Okay. Integrated Education and Training, IET. So we've got this new test. It started last summer, 2024. July of 2024 was when it was officially implemented everywhere. And we're going to talk about a few things that you need to know about this CASAS Steps. And I know everybody's like, it's so much harder. It is so much more rigorous than the test before, and it's true. But there are some other things also that I'd like to make sure that everybody knows. So first thing is that the CASAS Steps has 6 competency areas, and the competency areas are basically the essential life skills. They rounded up about 360 of those and came up with 6 ones that they're going to focus on, that they focus on in the tests. And the first one is basic communication. Second, consumer economics, community resources, health, employment. And the new one, this is new and only for levels D and E. So the higher level tests are the only ones that are going to be assessed on government and law. And we'll talk about this a little bit more, but think about learning about the Miranda rights, right? Learning about the 3 branches of the government, learning about your, the tour of DC, right? When you do it in the textbook, what are the different parts of the government? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the reading steps first, and then we'll do a little bit about the listening steps test. And I want to make sure I put this here. Sorry, it's CASAS steps. The steps mean student test of English progress and success. That's what the steps stands for. So let's keep going. All right, reading steps. Here we go. So the big thing now is that we've got 5 levels for each test, for both tests, levels A, B, C, D, and E. And they correspond to one of the NRS descriptors. So if you teach level 1, beginning ESL literacy, your students are going to take test level A. Now, when the students take their placement tests, the next time they go in for a post-test, right, it'll depend on their score. So if that student got a score of 190 or 185, even though they're here, they're still going to take the A test. And that's the big difference from the previous CASAS test, is that even if a student was in the lowest level and they just Christmas treed it or got really lucky and got a really high grade, they would end up placed in a level 6 class, even though they took the lowest test, right? And that was something that was really confusing and frustrating. And that's one of the things that I'm really grateful for this new test, is that that doesn't happen anymore. The highest the student can go is up here to level 2. So if a student Christmas tree, test A, all they can do is go up to level 2. They cannot end up in a level 6 class. So it's really helpful for us teachers when to kind of even out the level, the playing field within our classes. And there's less asterisk, less retaking, right? Because it's a lot more accurate of a test. And you can see here on the right-hand side, each test has 2 versions. So if a student takes this version now, next time they come in for the next post-test, it will be the other version. It mixes the order of the questions so that it's a little bit less likely that they'll memorize an order or something. And you can look at the test, the number of questions. So for level A, 33 questions, all the way to level E, 36 questions. Again, all those of you who teach the higher levels, level 6, your students will be taking that really hard E test that has the most number of questions, but it does have more time for them to complete them as well. The reading steps. This is something that I want you guys to remember, because we'll talk about this later when we're looking at our test preparation material, is the content areas. You don't obviously have to memorize it, but it's something that you'll see again. So see if you remember. When students are taking the reading test for the reading steps, there are 8 content areas they'll be tested on. The first is numbers. And then we've got high frequency vocabulary. Some are text and some are pictures. For those 3 content areas, that is only for level A. So if you teach levels 1 and 2, those things are things that your students will be tested on. There is vocabulary, but a more advanced vocabulary for levels B, C, D, and E. Details, everybody has to learn and be tested on details. Main idea is for levels B and above, and that's one of the new content areas. Inference, so levels C, D, and E, and then the big scary one, the point of view and supporting evidence, but that's only for levels E, again, for those level 6 students. And the questions will look like this in the reading test. They will be either forms, there'll be charts, tables, graphs, texts, emails, articles, and narratives, signs, ads, and labels. So this is what your test questions will look like for the students. And then we'll talk about the listening steps. So when we're doing the listening test, it's the same thing. There are 5 levels, A, B, C, D, and E, and they correspond to those NRS levels 1 through 6. Again, 2 alternate forms. Now, it's the same numbers. They didn't used to be, right? So it's the same numbers as the reading, but you'll see that there's an L for listening and an R for reading. So it's something that our testing paraprofessionals have to keep an eye on, because it's similar. Just you got to look out for that L and for that R. And again, the same thing. Each steps level overlaps with only 2 NRS levels. So there's no Christmas treeing away from super low test all the way to an NRS level 6 class. And for listening, students will be tested on the following 5 content areas. Vocabulary. So for listening, students are only tested on vocabulary in level A. So only the lowest test. Once they move on to B, C, D, and E, no more vocabulary testing specifically. But there's dialogue for everybody, details for everybody. The main idea is for B, C, D, and E. So the level starting with B, that's one of the new ones. Summary, that's for the higher ones, D and E. And that's it. So that's 5 of them for the listening. that's the overall gist of the CASAS steps. So again, oh, and I think, you know what, I'm going to go back to the timing because this was a big one for listening. Sorry about that. The test questions, they are around the 30s again. So 33, 36 to 39 for the higher levels. But this is what it gets kind of tricky. If you look at the test times for levels A, 28 minutes, 45, 52, 56, and then it decreases back to 38. And that's because, as you know, if you teach those levels, students in level E, they only get to listen to the questions one time, which freaks everybody out. It's a whole thing, right? So you see that they have less time. But we'll talk about what we can do to help them with that. Which is my next thing. So it's how can we help them prepare for this CASAS steps and for any other assessment, really, you know, even for when they go on to their professional careers, how can they take the board and take the TOEFL and take this and that and all the different tests. And the first thing that I think is really helpful is to clarify testing information and demystify testing, right? I know that as educators, most of us agree that like we don't want to teach to the test, right? We want to teach for life. We want to teach for those skills that you'll use day to day. But it's the reality. Our students get tested. And if they go in having a better idea of what they're being tested on, it helps them succeed, right? So even, for example, when I mentioned level E, so students can only listen to the audio once in level E test, the CASAS listening level E. So when they know that, they know to focus, and you know they can't be airy and not paying attention for the first one because there's going to be a second turn. There isn't going to be a second turn. So knowledge is power, and coming in having an idea of what to expect is really helpful. The second thing, and I know we all do this, right? Because we are adult educators and we're in there because we love this field, we love our students. And so inspiring a positive classroom mindset is second nature to all of us, I'm sure. But I like to talk specifically about the celebration of small victories. And that's for life too, right? Like things are hard. We have a lot of things going on, but someone once taught me to celebrate those small victories. So for example, if someone comes in and they say, I passed my driver's license test, and the whole class celebrates and we clap, and you know, it's that we all vibe together. Or so-and-so, I got a new job, or my kid got a new job, my kid got an honor roll in their middle school. We celebrate with them. And it's just everything can be a cause for celebration, right? So when they take that test, even when they don't get an MSG, a measurable skill gain, even if they don't make it to the next level, if they improved a couple points, that's you know, cause for celebration in my class too. So it's all good. There's always something that we can celebrate, no matter how small. Next one is again something that's kind of a buzzword, right? We hear this a lot, self-care. It's been marketed, it's a whole thing, but it is important, right? To, we all know, get enough sleep the night before a test, get enough rest, eat, right? Like bring a snack. I have a teacher friend who brings bananas to her students on test day, and they have that. My professor in college would always say bananas are brain food. You know, they're like the most perfect food. They even come with their little carrying case, right? So, and they're cheap. So have a snack, have water, bring bottles of water. Sometimes students forget, especially when they're new to the country, they're not used to all of us carrying our giant jugs of water everywhere we go. So, and then talking about, you know, try to get some rest. I know everybody's stressed, but try to not look at your screen the night before a test or all the things. Give yourself enough time. So even reminding them, because as adults, right, we're always taking care of everybody else. They're taking care of their kids. So sometimes they forget to take care of themselves. And next one, number 4, is protecting the testing room. This one is something that it's been a real, like a reality in my world as a teacher. Is I moved to a different campus. We have a new location and it's beautiful, but it was new. So our internet wasn't working, computers weren't working well. It was there was people coming in and out. There's construction, all that kind of stuff. And it was the first time my students went to do their post-test this semester. It was a huge mess. So I made it my mission to protect the testing room. I printed out, the papers of like testing in progress, do not disturb, make sure the temperature is okay, make sure the internet is well, work with your paraprofessional. We, work together to make sure everybody starts at the same time. And that there's no interruptions, and I even moved my level E students to the very back of the class. I was like, this is where they're going to test. This is like VIP area for my level E students, my level E test takers, so that they can not be looking at the door, not be seeing what's going on, so they can really focus on that one chance they get at the audio. And then the last one, the thing that really I think helps students to be good test takers, is practice. And again, I'm not an advocate for fully teaching to the test, right? That's not how it works, right? Like we all know as educators, but there is definitely something to them walking in confident because they know what the questions are going to sound like. They know what what they're looking for. They know the format and what to expect instead of going in blindly. So that brings me to my next subject, which is the introduction of Pearson's adult education test preparation. This is something that I've been using. I've been writing about this for the last year. Daniela and I were just talking about. I've become really familiar with it. I use it in my classroom daily, and I have had such good success with this. So I am so happy to be here sharing this with you guys, because there are a lot of things out there, right, to help us. And there's a lot of material and a lot of textbooks and a lot of everything. So sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. So I'm so happy to help walk you through this. And again, if you have questions, just put them out there and we'll do our best to answer them at the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little bit about what it is. So adult education test preparation is integrated with your My English Lab. Right, so it's already, if your institution already has purchased My English Lab for you guys, it just comes right into it. So it's not a full different platform, it's integrated. And there's a lot of print on demand teacher resources, which I love to use, and then listening audio. So it's all on My English Lab. You can use it together with your textbook. So again, like I said, this isn't for you to do all day, every day. It's with your textbook, with your other materials, and you can use it independently as well, but it's a complementary product and it is affordable. It's just under $100 per instructor code. It's $97.80. So I'm going to give you guys a live tour of adult education test prep, and please tell me if you guys can see my screen fine.
Yep, it works.
Okay, thank you. So once you log into your Pearson dashboard, right, you have your products here, and it's the second one. This smart lesson generator has been really cool to look into, by the way, separately. But we'll click into adult education test preparation, and you'll see, I have it open already. You'll see two main tabs for it. And here you've got my future books, but this is the one that we're looking at, adult education test preparation. You've got two main tabs. One is practice tests and one is the preparation material. So I'm going to show you guys, we'll start with the practice tests. Okay, one second. Okay. Sorry, I think there was music coming from my next slide. So we've got the practice tests. We've got reading and listening practice tests, and then we've got the resources. So within adult education test preparation, we have 5 different tests. So for each level, you have a practice test with the same amount of questions as a regular CASAS Steps evaluation. So for example, if you go into reading test A, let me see, it's going to make me log in again because this has been open for a while. Oh, there we go, it didn't. And you'll see that you have a teacher view and your student view. Okay, so this is your teacher view, and with it, you can see everything all at once, and you have the answers there right there too. But if you switch to your student view, you'll have the directions, and then you'll have one question at a time. So this one is simple, click on your answer. What is this, right? This is a vocabulary test for level A, and you click it there, whatever it is, and then you can check the answer. So this, and then you go to the next question, and the next one, then the next one.
I think it's frozen. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What's the last thing that you can see?
Still on CASAS Steps practice test and reading, but we got stuck there, so we can see your movements. Now
Okay.
I think it's working.
It's working fine now. If I open this, can you see the test?
It's the pop-up that's not showing.
The pop-up's not showing?
Yeah.
Let me see. I can stop sharing and try to share again, maybe?
Yeah, we can wait.
Okay, let's try again. I see what it is. I just need to do share screen. Okay. How about now? Can you see it now?
Yeah, it works.
Okay, great. Good. So if you open the reading level A test, you'll see this. And if you see it here, you'll have the teacher view, which has all the answers, and then you have your student view, which doesn't have the answers, right? So once you click on this, this is again, like I said, a vocabulary reading question. What is this? You go on and click, and you go to the next. This has the same number of questions as the test, and this is printable. So again, let me know if you can see this, if you can see my screen. If you teach level E, for example, you'd go straight to, or if you teach to the test level E, right? I keep saying level E for the test, but if you teach levels 5 and 6, you can come straight to the test E, and you'll see, again, you can switch to student view, and you can see the questions. The way I use this, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, is I project this. I use about 1 or 2 test questions per day. Some people, when it's closer to testing time, they do a few more. Some people do them all at once. This is up to you how you'll be able to use, or how you want to incorporate this into your class. But I use this as a warm-up sometimes, or as an exit ticket. I have it up when the students come in, and they can go ahead and answer their question, answer on their own, and then we can check later. There's different ways you can do this, but the cool thing is you can print it too. So if you want to make copies, if you want to give this to the students as an activity that you print, you can do that as well. So I do it 1 or 2 per day, because then we really take the time to dissect it, right? Like we talk about why you think this is, we do vocabulary, we break it down, and I'm going to show you how in just a little bit. So these are the reading tests, and again, you have the resources here, so you can print them all here. This is listening.
It's not.
The pop-ups are not showing. Pop-ups are not showing. Oh. Well, right now I don't have anything popped up, so that should be okay for now. But thank you for letting me know. I'll keep an eye on that. Let me see here. Can you see this okay? I'm back to my PowerPoint. Okay. So there are, let me see here. Oops. Okay, so there are 5 reading practice tests, like I said, levels A, B, C, D, and E. There are answer sheets for each of them, there are answer keys. So you can print the answer sheet so the students can bubble in if you prefer, and you have all the answers there. You don't have to be, killing yourself trying to answer those if you're teaching the higher levels and you're like, oh my gosh, again, like all the answers are there. And they come with the item analysis
Now
charts.
we're seeing your notes.
You are, okay. You see me reading. You guys, I was really stressed. I have like notes here and I was like, I don't know if you guys can see my notes. You can't see my notes now and I don't know how to make them go away. So we're going to go noteless.
Yeah, and we're back.
Bear with me. So you've got all the practice tests. Now let's look at the listening practice tests. Let me know if you can see my screen for my listening practice, because these are the ones that are really great. I want to show you guys that you can share them with the class, and you can also, listening tests. Here we go. So all of these, again, so you have your reading levels A, B, C, D, and then you have your listening levels A, B, C, D. If this seems like a lot, I would just highly recommend just going straight to the level that you teach and focus on that, right? Like, okay, I'm teaching levels 1 and 2. I'm going to go to test A and B. So just focus on those. And I want to show you when you open it, you can share this with the class. So you have your student view. And it gives you the instructions. And then you can play this as an audio for the class. So I like to share this with the class and project it. And then we all just listen together.
Practice. You will practice 1 time. Look at the pictures. Next, listen carefully to what is said. You will hear the question again. Then choose the correct answer.
So it gives you all the instructions, and then you go on.
Practice.
Where is the cat?
And it repeats.
Where is the cat?
Right? And so what I like to do with my students is we have these boards, these little tiny whiteboards, and I like to have them answer the questions. And so everybody goes and puts their, A, B, and C, and then they show it to us. And so everybody's just like, they have their boards up, and it turns into kind of a game. And then we discuss, right? Like, what did you hear? What was the question? What were the keywords? And again, we'll cover this in just a little bit. But this, I like to project it. I like do 1 or 2 per day. But you can print it as well. You can print it so they can have all that material so they can practice at home if they want to as well. So again, listening test A, B, and C, and D, and you'll see all the way to level E, that for this one, the questions get a little bit more difficult, right? So you've got to do a lot more focusing on this one. Let's take a look at one example.
You try, because we cannot see the pop-up.
Can you hear the pop-up?
We can hear. Yeah, everyone can hear.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the pop-ups. Let me see if I can share. I see now. So I think I'm going to have to keep going back and forth. Let me see. Can you see that pop-up now? So that's all you see now is the pop-up, right?
Yeah, it works now.
Okay. So this is what the practice test looks like for listening level E.
Yeah, perfect.
How did the applicant give a bad first impression?
Hi, I can't talk right now. Please leave a message.
Hi, Sue. It's Emily from HR. I wanted to let you know about the applicant I interviewed yesterday. I liked her resume, but I don't think she fits the job description. She also didn't give a good first impression since she was.
So it's a lot of information, right? And here they'll repeat it for you. But what I like to do is we go, hey, let's try just 1 time and see what happens. And then the second time we do is just to correct, to make sure that we did catch all the little pieces of information. But it gets really, really difficult. And I stopped sharing. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Let's see. Okay. And it really mirrors a lot of what the test looks like. So I love to use the practice tests for both reading and listening. So again, there's one practice test for each level for reading and one practice test for each level in listening. And they're all the same amount of questions as the real test. And then down here with the resources, it's all the things you can print. You can print and you can download. You can download all the audio if you have spotty internet. If you don't, maybe one day this isn't, you know, your internet's not working, you can't load anything on the on your computer. You can download it and have it ready to go there as well. Second thing I wanted to show you guys. So this is just a practice test. Again, I like to use them as a daily 1 or 2 here and there, or when we're getting closer, you can use a few more. You can do the whole thing, however you prefer. The next part is the preparation materials. This is just like chef's kiss of all the information for you to help you learn how to teach these correlations and these content areas and all of these things going on with the test. And I love them. I've been using it all semester and it's been really helpful. I have to tell you, my students, this last post-test we did, everybody but one person got MSGs, and it's because he doesn't really attend the class, and so everybody was so excited, and we practiced a lot. But again, just a little bit every day. We didn't spend all day, you know, doing test prep in class, but this was really helpful. So I want to show you guys the listening and the reading preparation materials. I hope this pops up. But okay, we'll start here for now. This is a lot of info, right? So do you remember back in my PowerPoint when I was talking about the content areas? We've got dialogue, vocabulary, details. So these are the content areas for each of the test levels. If you teach level A, all your students are going to come across for the listening is dialogue, vocab, and details. They're not going to be doing point of view, evidence, none of that stuff. So for each of those content areas, you have a student worksheet that you print for your students. You have a teacher's guide that you print for you, and then you can download the audio again, so it's easier for you to work with. And look, I've got them all here. I printed everything of all levels, of all content areas, and there's so much information. And I'll show you here, and let me say a little prayer that my pop-ups work. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get the hang of it. So for each content area of each test level, you'll get a worksheet for your students and a teacher's guide for you. So I've got both of them open here. Everything is downloadable, printable, easy PDFs, easy peasy. So they work together. If you've got the worksheet and you've got the teacher's guide, they work together. You go through, and this is for you guys, it's a little bit of homework for the teachers to go through and learn some strategies. These are phenomenal. I'm going to show you guys one in just a moment. And it correlates with this dialogue, the worksheet for the students. It goes together. And you'll see here, there's some steps. So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. Tell me that you can see it, please. Fingers crossed. Yes. Okay, so this is how one way, right, that you can use all this material. So again, everything is downloadable, everything is printable, a lot of information. You're like, okay, what do I do with this now? First things first, print it, download it, and then look at the way that the strategies and the tips that are on these worksheets and teacher guides. It's phenomenal. It's a lot of them, and they'll vary from level to level. They talk about the 3-step process. So when you listen to any dialogue or when you listen to any podcast, anything that comes on the test, right? The first time you listen, and this is in the classroom, so you can play it as many times as you want, but you ask your students, what is this about? I just want the general idea, right? And if you're teaching main idea, that's already going to answer your question. But what is this about? What's the topic? And students, depending on the level, they'll give you some words, they'll give you some phrases. And then that's all you need to do for now. You have the spaces here for you to write out. What is this about? They can work together, they can work in groups to talk about it. And then the second time you play something or you read something, you're going to be listening for details. And this is the one that we love in my classroom, is the key details, the information question words, the who, the what, where, when, why, and how, right? So my students, like, they can recite these in their sleep, because for anything we do in my class, anything we listen to, anything we read, it's like, what is this about? Who are we talking about? Where is this happening? When did this happen? Why are they doing this? How is this possible? Right? How much does this cost? We always, it's like, we call it like English detectives, right? We investigate all of these details. And again, with the worksheets here, there are spaces for your students to write these. So you write, what's the topic? What is this about? And then you answer the question. So my students are so accustomed to listening for the keywords that whenever we play first, it's like, what's the keyword? Why? What's the keyword? Where? So it's like, oh, you know that if it's where, we're already searching for a location, right? We're talking about a place. So they're trained to look for the topic and the key details to be able to answer those questions. So just to recap, this is what comes within the adult ed test prep program, the hub, the test hub. We've got the practices, the test practices that come with the answer sheet, the answer keys, the correlation charts. We have all the student worksheets. So for reading, for listening, for each level, each test level, students have worksheets. And then we've got the teacher guides for each correlation of each level. And then all the audio files that you can download. So there's a lot of material in there. And again, you can use, if you use one or two a day, in the beginning of the class, at the end of class, you have material for the whole semester. Let me see. And then beyond the test prep, like I said, I am not a believer of only working or teaching to the test, right? I like to diversify, as I know we all do. We all need interesting material. And so I wanted to share today, and maybe you guys can put some ideas on the chat as well, of some creative ideas to practice listening and reading skills in the classroom that go beyond test preparation, technically, right? Because this is all test preparation. But so we'll start with some listening skills. And it's something that my students love to do, is to work with movie and TV and music, right? That's pop culture. And movie trailers are a really fun way to, obviously you don't have time to watch the whole movie, but you get the gist of it. So there's this website that I use a lot, ISL Collective. There's a free version, there's a paid version. I use the free version. And you have these trailers and it comes with questions. So it'll ask you questions about what they said, who's doing what's going on. So I'm going to show you a quick little, let me see. I can't hear it. Oh, goodness. Sound is sharing. I don't know if you guys can hear this or not. I can't.
No.
I know. We just tested this before and it worked just fine too. I see. It's right here. Yeah. Let me try again. Let's see. He is nervous. So let's go to the next one. There we go.
Wow, Luca, that was hard to watch. You coming?
So what did Alberto say? Let's put it in order. That was hard to watch, right? So they're listening and then answering this question. So this website is really fun. There's a lot of stuff and it's a collective, right? So people add their material in here. And again, there's a free version to it. So this is for pre-intermediate levels. It goes on and on. It's a really great one. And the other thing that my students really like to work with is music, song lyrics. Do you guys as students love Ed Sheeran's Perfect as much as mine do? That's all they ever want to listen to is Perfect. Can we please play Perfect? And we do. I do work with this song a lot for whenever we're practicing the simple past. And this is the same website, but there's so many different websites. But you can print out these worksheets to practice not only just the simple pass, but you practice the listening skills of what was the song, what was the word that they put there. So you can print those out, and they fish for the song, for the words that were missing, or you can do this one here, for example. Is it right? This is just the prepositions, and then what's not only what the missing word is, but how to put it in the past, because this is all simple past for this song. I don't know. I'm sure everybody knows this song, right? A little loud. Yeah, my students absolutely love this song, no matter how much time has gone by since this song came out. And then for all levels, but for the lower levels, it's a variation of Simon Says, but it's teacher says, right? So teacher says, get up. Teacher says, sit down. Open your books. Oh, you're out. So it's Simon Says, but we use the word teacher says, but it's great listening practice for instructions, right? Especially classroom instructions, which is a big part of the test as well. So some fun ways to practice listening skills. And then for reading activities, I know most of you probably use Kahoot. We all love Kahoot. It's a great resource. I found this one just to show you guys, but there's just a passage, right? There's a passage, and then on Kahoot, it'll ask some information question words, some key detail words. When is it? What color? Who, where? So you can use Kahoot for any level. And there are a lot of Kahoots that are ready to go. So you might not even have to set one up, but you can obviously set one up as well for you. This one is really, really fun for me, stressful for the students, but it's important. It's using your textbook to practice reading skills. Let me see, hopefully you can see this, but I'm going to share my active teach. If you use Future, this is from Future 3, Unit 7, Lesson 7. This is a reading about safety on the road. What I like to do is I like to divide the students into 6 groups. And again, that'll depend on how many students you'll have per group, but one group will be responsible for presenting. They have to read together, and then they have to present all the information they find on the who question word. And then a group will be responsible for presenting the where and the why and the how. And so they come to the front as a group after having read it, and they have to tell us all they know about where most accidents happen. And then another group will come and talk about all they know about when the accidents happen. So they get a little stressed about coming to the front of the class and presenting, but it is really great practice because they have to read together out loud, then they have to discuss it, they have to figure out a way to present together. And those public speaking skills, they also come in very handy and important in the workplace, right? The very last one here is book synopsis. So again, we don't have time to read a full work of fiction, literary fiction in our class, but we can read synopsis. And I use a lot of the children's books. I know that our students are adults, but my students love to watch cartoons and listen to songs that might be silly, because it's a little bit less intimidating than some of the grown-up materials out there. So if you look at Charlotte's Web, you can find a synopsis online, right? Like this one, I think it's Amazon's going to pop up. And it just says right here, right? Some pig, humble, radiant, 3 words. These are words in Charlotte's Web, Hyatt and Zuckerman's barn, So you can ask them, where is this, right? In Zuckerman's barn. Who is this? Charlotte. What is she? She's a spider. Who else is in this? A pig named Wilbur and a girl named Fern. What happened? She saved his life. So you don't need to work with the entire book because, again, we don't have a lot of time for that, but synopses are usually something that we can do pretty quickly. Oof, that's it. So I think Daniela, the chat is available. If you have any questions, please contact your sales representative. This program, and I know that I kind of ran through a little fast because I'm looking at my time going. There's a lot of information, and there's more to come every day. There's more information that gets added, more material that gets added. So if you have any questions, go ahead and contact your sales rep. And we are ready for our Q&A. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your patience with my technical difficulties here.
Thank you, Louise. I think I found one that's ethical question. How close to the actual test content are the items, vocabulary, and topics of the Pearson practice test versus the real test?
So that's a great question. In each of the teacher's guides, there are 2 questions that are called task questions that are closer to what the test looks like. But obviously we don't know, they don't know, nobody knows what the test questions will look like, but it's in the same format. And then the other 3 questions in each of the worksheets are a little less loosely based on the questions on the CASAS test. But again, we don't know, right, what the test questions look like, but these are in the same format as them.
Thank you, Louise. And they are kind of shy. I don't think we have any more questions. The other ones were related to how to purchase or how to access. I've already answered, but
I have a comment. I guess somebody said, I can't do many of these with my adult students. I'd love to know more what you mean by that. I used to think that I couldn't play games with my lower level students. I was like, they're not going to understand the instructions. They're not going to, and I had a friend, a really good friend who's a teacher. She's like, no, come watch my class. And I watched her play games with students who were literacy level. And it was so great. You just have to change, right? Like, so for example, the Kahoot, it'll be simple instructions, right? Or you can, I'm interested to know what that was about. If you said I can't play many of these with my students. Danielle, I see I'm confused by your answer to my ethical question. We do know the content of the CASAS steps. Well, what I mean is not the exact questions that they ask, right? We don't know the exact questions. We know the content in general.
There's another question about, does the CASAS assign level E to both 5 and 6 or just 6?
I'm gonna go back to my slide. Can you still see my slides, or do I need to go back and share my screen? So it'll depend on the level of the post-test. So the score, it'll depend on the score. So let's see. If your student, like assign level E to both 5 and 6, if your student took a placement test, right, and your student got a score of 212, that student is in level 5 in your class, and they will have test D. But if your student now gets the next post test gets a score of 222, that student who is in level 5 is gonna taste level 6, level E. And then if they pass, if they go from 221 to 222, now they're gonna go to level 6. So the tests are gonna depend on the number, the score. Oh, the seat availability with the free version. Okay, yeah, that I can. ChatGPT, that's a great, yes, that's a great. I haven't ventured out to ChatGPT a whole lot, yes. But yes, I understand the difficulty with Kahoot. You can work in groups. There's a way to do Kahoot for groups instead of individual. So you can host slide and let me see if it'll work. It puts you can do teamwork. Quilt. Ooh, that's a new one. I don't know that one. So look, classic team mode. You can play team mode, 1 device per team, and you can put as many people on a team as possible, and it gives them time to like talk and hurdle, and then they answer. So that might be something that you can look into. I don't know what quilt is. I'm very intrigued. I'm interested to see. Danielle, I think there was a question about the package to purchase or yearly subscription. Quizlet is great as well. Yeah. You are muted, Daniela. I don't. Oh, okay.
Yes, it is an instructor access code available for 12 months. I was just about to respond.
And the question above that, that the resources are available, only available for the $100 fee.
Yes, so that's the $97 access code would give you access to all levels during 12 months for instructors.
And again, everything is printable and downloadable, so it's very useful. We've used this in my class again, like I said, and I told my coworkers, and I hear, you know, my coworkers next door playing the practice test, going through the information question words. It's been really a really great way to help the students. Really has. I'm very, very happy with this product. So that's why I'm here talking about it, because it really works for my students.
The per instructor, I see that question. The other question says there are 6 ESLs, but 5 levels. I'm confused.
I know it is confusing. So each of those tests encompass 2 levels. So each CASAS Steps test level is for 2. I know it is super confusing. I would suggest looking at the score of your pre-test and at the score of your post-test. That'll dictate what level you are. And that number, so again, that number is going to be the important thing. That'll dictate what level you are, and that'll dictate what test you'll take. So look, if you have your student's information sheet, it'll show you what the pre-test number, like the test score, the scale score range was, and that will be the thing to really look for. So yeah, it is really confusing, but look at that number, and then that tells you the class level, the NRS level, and the test level. Just focus on the number.
Perfect. So I don't see any more questions. Thank you so much, everyone, for your attendance. As I mentioned, we're going to be emailing you attendance certificates, slide decks, recording, and 3 PDFs with supporting materials. If you are not sure who your rep is, we sent you a website link. You can fill out that form, and they'll be in touch with you. Feel free to reach out if you have any more questions, and have a good one. Thank you, Luis. This was great.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks again for your time. I appreciate it. It was my pleasure.